Hello, it's Richard at Richard's Guitars, and today, get into view. Today I've got an interesting little topic that I've had on my mind for a long time, because it comes up quite regularly. Whenever I'm chatting about a lovely new guitar that's exciting me, I've got some lovely examples here. This is one of the latest Doviner guitars, which I'm going to be doing featuring. Oh, actually, that looks lovely, isn't it? Now look at that. Now, I've just had that hoo-ha with Sheeran, so this might kind of contextualise this. This is a. It's got flame maple. Oh, that doesn't show. It's got flame maple bindings. That is a figured, obviously walnut, beautiful walnut back and sides, cedar top, wooden inlays, the beautiful, actually kind of that going on there, all the beautiful details, a bit of abalone, and all solid woods, the beautiful headstock logo, all solid woods, made in Slovakia, sounds absolutely divine. 800 pounds. That's 800 quid. That's 800 pounds. So whenever I'm surrounded by lovely, incredible things that kind of destroy the kind of context of what people think they've got to spend to get something nice. So the argument that would always end up being thrown at me, that's annoying me slightly. I want to see my head. There we go. Hopefully that hasn't destroyed the sound or something. The one argument that it drives me nuts will be, yeah, but try selling it. You'll lose a lot of money when you come to sell it because nobody's heard of it. And if you buy a tailor, you know where you are. You know about the you know that there's a strong residual value, a value that you'll get back for that guitar when you sell it. So I want to talk about that today, and I want to have a sort of a chat with you about it. And I'd like you to put your comments below and let me know what your thoughts on this are, because I don't like going on about it, but I've done this for 25 years. And I think that gives me some basis of an understanding of the market and what guitars sell for and what money you're likely to lose. And so I'm going to give you some honest feedback to these comments that I see all the time. And I can only really put it down to brand snobbery, a kind of deliberate naivety to the truth. It must be a lot easier just to think those things and actually believe, mean what you're saying, but be actually completely incorrect with what you're telling people. So I think it's quite a dangerous thing to think that if you buy a brand that is not a mainstream brand, that you will lose money by buying that brand. I want to talk about it. So here's how we go. First of all, you have to sort of take a think about what you're buying the guitar for. If you are buying a guitar for an investment purpose, that's a kind of a different thing. But I do think that some people have a bit of a mix. They want to buy, they want to invest their money, they want to spend money on a nice guitar, but they're genuinely fearful about the money they'll lose if they change their mind or if they want to move on. And I think that's a very understandable thing to think about when you're buying a guitar. So I think what's very, very important if you are doing that is you have to contextualize it. So you have to think about what your money is actually buying you in the first place. So let's say, for example, I'm showing somebody an SB59, an Eastman SB59. It's an incredible high quality Les Paul, if you like, genre guitar. Isn't a Les Paul copy, but it's in that market. and obviously I'm not here to boast about or promote the benefits of the SB59. I'm just telling you the Eastman SB59 is a guitar that you would definitely look at in Eastman range if you were thinking about buying a Gibson Les Paul. But if you look at the price of I should have maybe looked before I got it, but you know, a Les Paul Standard, I don't even call them Les Paul Standards now, they've just completely messed around with all the names. But the equivalent of a Gibson Les Paul Standard, that guitar will have holes drilled in it. That guitar has what they call weight relief, and weight relief, as most people should know by now, is just marketing. What I call they're creating kind of science out of BS. Weight relief just simply means we're buying heavy, cheap wood that we're drilling holes into in order to make it as light as it should be, to make it feel good and play and resonate. I mean, the resonant qualities of a guitar with holes drilled in it, we have to talk about that as a separate subject, but the bottom line is you don't get holes drilled in your guitar by Gibson if you're buying one of their top end models, which are £4,000+ So you'd have to refer to their catalogue to see which ones I mean. So you can buy from Eastman an SB59 at $15,999, a guitar which is handmade, completely handmade, with the highest quality woods that you could possibly buy, the most beautifully figured tops, that has the most resonant characteristics because the woods that are used are the finest possible out there, that you'd have to spend £4,000, £5,000 or £6,000 from Gibson to appreciate if you're buying a Gibson branded guitar. So when you talk about the potential money that you might lose on that Eastman, so we go back to this guy on Facebook saying, no, you can't buy one of those because, you know, you're going to lose all that money when you come to sell it. Well, they've got to contextualize this to what you'd have to spend to experience that guitar in the first place. So it completely destroys what I see as an urban myth that you lose money when you're buying brands that are not the mainstream. It just seems to be something that is spoken by, as I say, brand snobs as a convenient way of desperately holding on to one reason to put somebody off buying a guitar that they love. Because ultimately you should be buying the guitar because you love it, you know. But I do understand that someone might be put off by a comment on Facebook. Ah, yeah, but try and sell it. Well, let me look at that argument. Go onto eBay and see whether you can find an Eastman SB59 for sale second hand. Go onto eBay and see if you can find a Gordon Smith, new era Gordon Smith for sale, or a Furch. The guitars that I tell you about are exquisite quality, unbelievable value for money. They put into question why anyone would buy mainstream fodder, and guess what? The people who buy them love them, so they don't sell them. Very rarely do they come up on the second-hand market. So again, it kind of undermines this whole argument of because if it was true what these people were saying, there would be a whole queue of second-hand examples at heavily depreciated values online, and they just don't exist. They're not there. But I could argue you'll see a ton of Fenders second-hand on there, and you could also argue because there's a ton of Fenders, the competition between the second-hand sellers is rife. So the condition has to be good. You know, you can kind of cherry pick and find the one that's of the best condition, that's got all the paperwork, that hasn't, the case is all clean, because there are more examples of mainstream branded products out there in the market in the first place, second-hand. And if you are thinking about buying a guitar as an investment opportunity, you shouldn't be buying a new one anyway. You should be buying a second-hand one. So you wouldn't be coming into my shop in the first place to buy a brand new guitar, because if it was an investment opportunity you're looking for, you wouldn't be buying a brand new guitar in the first place, because all guitars are going to depreciate somewhat after you've bought them. So you should be buying it because you want it set up beautifully, you want the choice, you want to be able to find something that's yours that hasn't been played by someone else before. If that's what you want, then you'd come to a shop and buy one. If you want an investment opportunity, you go and buy one second hand. So I'm hoping this makes some sense to you. So for example, now talking about investment opportunities, Gordon Smith guitars. again, I've seen people say about Gordon Smith guitars, oh, but if you buy a, if you bought a Fender, it's going to be worth a lot of money in the future. What do you think this guitar is going to be worth in the future? This is a Gordon Smith Classic T. Look, see. See if you can see the chocolate flame. Look at that. In this light, it's not necessarily showing so much, but that is absolutely beautiful. I think the light's fading a bit in this room, so you're not necessarily going to see it so well. That is honey. That is chocolate roasted maple neck, going through to a tortoiseshell plate. You'd have to look on my website for the exact price of this guitar, but it's not much more than £1,000. And that is a custom shop, handmade, made in England guitar that you could have whatever colour you wanted. These guitars will inevitably go up in price over the years. I will guarantee you. I will guarantee you, in 20 years' time, you will not be able to buy a handmade Gordon Smith guitar at this price. I'll just tell you now, I just don't believe it for a minute, because they are... Most British guitar builders doing custom shop work like that would be charging you at least £2,000 for that guitar. So it's crazy. And if you look at the Furch guitars, when I first started selling Furch guitars, the yellow, what is the equivalent of a yellow GCRC, was £900. That's now 1,700 quid, because the brand has evolved, and yet it's still half the, it's still a fraction of the price. There's another good example. If the first yellow GCRC, I've seen people say, oh, try selling one of those second hand. But what are you comparing it to in the first place? Taylor don't do a guitar for 1,700 quid of the quality and the woods that are used in the Furch. You'd be looking at spending at least £3,000 for a Taylor of a similar build. So it's nonsensical. None of these arguments kind of add up. I think ultimately the argument I would say is buy a guitar because you love it. Don't allow brand snobbery to comments on Facebook or forums to put you off buying a guitar that you love. And don't believe what is said about the resale value, because you'll always save more money overall if you buy a product I sell, even including the depreciation, as the resale value, because you will have saved so much by not having to spend the money in the first place. That's really the key to what I'm saying here. Well, I hope that makes sense, and but please do put your comments below. Let me know what you think. Am I talking complete gibberish? Do I make any sense whatsoever? And quite often, until I watch this back, I have no idea what whether I've made any sense. There's any continuity in what I've been saying. I don't know. But put a couple of things here. Talking of value for money, this is the latest vintage guitar. This is under 300 quid. And it's staggering. It's absolutely amazing. So thank you to Vintage for producing some just mind-blowing thing, and they're bringing out some amazing guitars for 2020. And I've had a sort of an up-down relationship with vintage guitars. If you've watched my videos, you'll know. But they really have pulled out all the stops, and the quality of what they're sending me in recent months has just been quite staggering. And it would just be beyond. I could never argue against buying something like this. If somebody was looking to spend, 200 or 300 quid on an electric guitar, I couldn't argue against buying one of these against any brand. This is as good as any £600-700 Fender I've ever. I mean, there's just no. I will do a video on this. This is just incredible. Here's another example of custom shop Classic T in metallic silver look, with a colour-coded headstock. Just beautiful. Colour-coded headstock. Bit G&L-y. It reminds me of the old G&Ls. Really lovely. That's under £1,000. So there we go, guys. I hope that helped. Please give me comments below. Let me know what you think of what I'm saying. And if I haven't put my point across very well, I'll do it again. And I'll make it a bit more concise next time. Okay, cheers. Bye.